Happy 4th of July! This is our critical thinking classroom, and have we got stuff to think about critically today because happy Independence Day. We're going to be really talking a lot about all kinds of things. I check where Lucy is. One of the things we do in psychology, if we want to develop certain qualities in people in psychology, what we would do is one of the ways is, of course, we would study the quality, right? And how do we get more of that quality? So if we wanted peace, more peace, we would study peace, right? Of course, that makes sense. Let me make sure everything's on there. Yep. But we also study peaceful people. And so that's what we're going to do today. What we're talking about, we're taking a special little bit of a time out, kind of, in a way, not really, but in a way, on our emotion regulation, emotional intelligence. And we're going to talk and celebrate Independence Day and highlight Independence Day. But what I thought I would do is just exactly what I have here on our slide, which says examples of emotion regulation. So as a psychologist, again, we study the quality, right? The quality, honesty. I want to know diligence. What is diligence? And what do I need to be diligent, right? Or tolerant or wise. So we study that quality, but we also study the people who have that quality. So if I was looking at peace, I might study Gandhi, right? If I want to look at a great communicator, I might study Oprah Winfrey. If I wanted to study a wonderful example, I might study Jesus Christ, right? I might be a theologian and study Jesus Christ, right? If I wanted to study philosophy, I might look at, or understand philosophy, I might look at Socrates or Plato. We look at the person as well as the quality. We study the person as well as the quality because we know that it is simply impossible. And although people would like you to believe that it is, right, all of a sudden magic and one thing becomes another. It simply isn't true. We've got sort of a mystical, magical way of doing things that I don't understand. I don't understand. I understood, I've said this before, I understood a wire in the wall when I talked on my phone, and that wire, I could physically see the wire go out of my house into the wires that are up there, right? To some place I don't know, but I'm assuming it's, Ma Bell doing something. More wires, right? So that's a world that we see the cause and effect. That's a world we see cause and effect. You are in a world where you don't see that. It's you here, my coffee. Yummy, 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 yummy. You don't see cause and effect. You do not see it. So for somebody to say this equals that, you oftentimes have to take their word for it. There's a chip inside there, and in that chip there are ways. I don't even know. And even if I were to say the words as if I knew, like in a way that I did know, like I could say the words because I understood it. I mean, honestly, really, all we have is a piece of the pie. All we have is a piece of the intellect. That's it, right? You are in charge of a small piece of that knowledge. That's your piece of the pie. You get this knowledge, you get this talent. That's what you have. That's what you're in charge of. You don't have to go, you don't have any business searching for other knowledge. These are the talents I gave you. Work it. I am astounded at the lives wasted paying attention to mine. It is bordering on 50 years. It's bordering on a half a century. I just discovered Joan Mudgett, and Joan Mudgett, Carrie, you're Joan Mudgett's sister because she was so beautiful, and you are, and both of you are after him. Oh my gosh, that is funny beyond words. It's funny. Watch this unfold. Oh, it's gonna feel like a kick in the gut. 50 years of a life dedicated to somebody else. It's the huge difference. And we're going to talk about that in regulation here. And just watch. It's the difference between somebody like George Washington and somebody like Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson was always chasing something he couldn't have, and George Washington lived in the here and now. He had wings, and he gave other people wings. And the idea there was unity. And I'm telling you, we are all being challenged today in particular in that area. What are you going to decide? What are you going to decide to do? Are you going to support democracy, or are you going to support your version of democracy? Because it's not a democracy, it's a republic. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Any person who is supporting democracy with lip service and then perverting it every hour of every day. We're getting rid of you. Look it. You think I'm kidding you? You think I'm kidding you that we're getting rid of you? You think I'm kidding you? Look at my opposition. It's July 4th, folks. It's July 4th on a very popular lake. You think I'm kidding you? I'm getting rid of you? You think I'm kidding you? Those houses have been empty for at least a month. You think I'm kidding you when I say I'm getting rid of you? Who's still here? I told you. I told you. I told you. In every way, shape, and form, I told you. I can't wait to get to our spiritual classroom and talk about, is God a patriot? Is God a patriot? I told you. He gave you messages all along. He parted the effing Red Sea in front of you, and you said, what else do you got? Jews, you're not the chosen people. You're simply the example. And you know what? Most of the time, I don't want to be made example of. Do you want to be made an example of? Let's critically think. Do you want to be made an example of? Chosen people? You want to be the chosen one? Do you want to be made an example of? I wouldn't. But I am. And look who survived. Look who's surviving. I'm sorry. All I hear are birds. It's the 4th of July, and all I hear are birds on a popular lake in southeast Michigan. What up? What up? That is a good sound. It sounds like I get my heart's desires. Spiritual classroom, we'll talk about it a little bit later, right? Oh, what up? And of course I do. And of course I do. Look at that. Look at that. I'll put me in the picture because I can. Look at that. Look at my little Lucy right there. There's my little Lucy. And there are my weeds that they wanted me to grow. To only have weeds and brown grass. So what are we doing? We are watching the example. You are paying attention to the example, or flip it off. Flip it off and go turn on your watching a, Asian person eat food and make an angry face with a nose that wasn't meant to be on her face, so that she could make herself more beautiful for you. Because that's all she's got. But you want so much more. You want so much more. That's why you're here. Whether you're here because you hate me or whether you're here because you love me, either way, you want so much more. right? I mean, holy smokes. Drew Barrymore's copying my teeth. What up? Who else is watching? Got nothing to lose, though. Number says 0 right there. Yeah. And think about that. So the people, what do you have? What do you have in the end, right? What do you have in the end? I'm going to be talking more about that in an upcoming class too, about the legacy, about our legacy. What do you have? That will be in the philosophical class. What do you end up having? Who's the person? Who are the names with longevity, right? Certainly Hitler. I mean, if you were to put in good and bad, right? If you were to put them side by side, good and bad, who has longevity? But, what do you know about Stalin? What do you know about Mussolini? Well, that's an Italian name, right? Dictator. What do you know about Gandhi? What do you know about Jesus? What do you know about Muhammad? What do you know about George Washington? What do you know about Queen Elizabeth? What do you know about Confucius? What do you know about Buddha? What do you know about the good people? And what do you know about the bad people? I know. My guess is, well, we'll go into that in the spiritual classroom. We're going to stick with what we're doing right here. So coming up, we're going to talk more about the spiritual aspect of that in our spiritual classroom, which is also going to be kicked back. We're having a lazy day. I'm working on the 4th of July. And nobody's playing on the lake. What up? Did you hear me? Are you kidding me? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm thinking about the kind of children people raised. And this might not be a bad thing for you to kind of contemplate right now in our critical thinking class right now. How did you get to where you are, right? How did you get to who you are? A kind of remember, because that's really what this class is about, figuring out yourself. How did you get to who you are? And so in my mind, so many thoughts have been, because really the stress and the pressures of people trying to stop me from doing this has gotten really great. The pressure of it, or the attacks on me have gotten really amplified a lot. Local attacks on me have gotten amplified a lot. And I'm pretty sure that they're portraying me in ways that are just not accurate at all, or not for your eyes, right? So even if it is me, but it's misrepresenting me entirely, and then flat out lies, flat out people who are portraying me that aren't me, without a doubt. So there's a lot of these pressures that are going on. So my mind, I've been getting another thought about what's going on, and because it's every day, it's just a pounding every day for me right now. It is, even though I'm so cool in front of the camera. Who could even know? And you're like, yeah, Dr. Feravich, maybe that's your Dr. Jekyll, Mrs. Hyde, or could be, right? No, it can't be. Critically think about it. There are connections, even if you don't know them and even if you don't see them. That's the reason why God said, pay attention to your 5 senses. I'm going to give you your 5 senses to figure me out. Now, you're like, back to spiritual classroom, Dr. Feravich, but that's science. That's just simply science. I have my 5 senses to figure whatever it is out. So if there's a higher power, I have my 5 senses to figure it out. That's where we see the cause and effect. Don't let anybody tell you I've got the answers, like medicine has been saying, and don't you worry your pretty little head about it. It boggles the mind. The gender slap in the face this is, right? Who's having to figure this out? Who's got the balls? A lady said to me the other day, oh, what does it matter? Oh, at the Pontiac, by the way, Telegraph over there, where I handed in my husband's death certificate. All kinds of skeptical things going on there, for sure, for sure. It's about to roll out, folks. It's going to roll out. Maureen, do you think I didn't recognize you over there? What up, Maureen? Critically think your way out of it. You can. There is, if you don't believe in a cause and effect, if you believe that everything is happening because of wizardry, there's some wizardry going on. Absolutely things I cannot explain. Absolutely, there are things going on that I cannot explain. So, all the time, every day, every single day, every minute of every single day, there are things going on that I can't explain, like a cell phone, right? Like how I can get instant information that used to take me days to find out, only a fraction of the information, right? Why there are like 45s records literally being placed on Google Earth. Why is that? Literally, look at it. Go look at it in the Middle East, and you'll see records, what look like 45s that are just being placed, and you'll see in the middle of it a pattern. Oh, I didn't learn about patterns. Oh my gosh. Holy shit. I love you. I do. I do. Are you seeing a pattern? Because I saw a pattern of records. In the Middle East. On Google Earth. Look at it. Like literally, over the top of Google Earth, which doesn't seem to match what's going on. They've got my territory on Google Earth, but right outside my territory, it looks like a desert. What are they planning? What is Google Earth planning? And if you're not on my side, I'm calling out Microsoft over here. I'm calling out Bill Gates. Loud and clear, I'm calling out Bill Gates. If you're not on my side, look out. 777. I know this is misleading. How could a snaggletooth hold the secret to 777, to my fortune? How can a snaggletooth hold the secret to my fortune? What the hell is she talking about? Where's her PowerPoint? Let's get to it. So, give me a sec. I got all excited about everything else. Forgot half the stuff I was talking about in the other classroom too. We got to speed things up. I told you in the very beginning, I'm the teacher. I'm going to show you how to do this. But I'm telling you, time is up. I know time's up. I know it's up. I know it is. Look at me. I'm still here. And I'm here putting my children at risk for you, for those last few people who are going to get the message. And I don't know how to say it any more clearly than that, except to repeat it. I told you from the beginning why I'm here. It's to teach you how to transform, how to get over to the other side. I don't know why. I don't know anything else except for that. I'm a teacher, and this is what I'm supposed to teach, right? That there was a period of time that my job over there at the university stopped, and this job started. We need red, white, and blue in my picture, so I'm going to do that. What up? See how many things I can think of at the same time and still be the same person? Not all of a sudden a Bert, right? I'm not a different person. You can follow the ticking clock. That doesn't even make any sense. That doesn't make any sense at all. Not at all. None. There is no connection. I will say it to what I just said. A, a connection to it, like a ticking clock. Oh, maybe like a well-oiled machine. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's what it is, right? Okay, all right. So many things, right? So many things to be paying attention to. I told you from the beginning what my job is to teach you, and this is from the spiritual classroom, but critical thinkers, you're at a time where you need to make this connection. You need to make the leap from your critical thinking to your spiritual life. Otherwise, you're going to die. Otherwise, and how do I know this? Well, scripture says it, but as a psychologist, as a doctor in health psychology, your spirit fails you, your mind fails you. And when your spirit and your mind fail you, your body fails you, right? There's nothing about what I'm saying that demonstrates a failed mind. You might think the presentation is a little disorganized to you for your mind or for your... God, I hate that arm. This was a strawberry patch is what that was. And this arm is just bigger than the other arm. Like by this much. It's so distracting. It is so distracting. I can't even begin to tell you. What up? There we go. I know. Maybe you don't learn that way. Maybe you don't learn, but I'm telling you, I don't have ADHD and I can go all over the place and come back to where we were. I'm the teacher. I'm supposed to be teaching you. And from the very beginning, I told you what I'm teaching you. I am teaching you how to transform. Listen to my voice. There's nothing different about my voice here and my passion and the way I get at you and say, listen to me and who can and this and shout, right? I am no different here than you have seen on the videos out there about what people are proclaiming, right? I'm aggressive? No. I'm passionate. Wouldn't you love to be passionate? Of course you would. We got to get, I'm teaching you how to keep our mind, our body, and our spirit together, right? Keep it together. If you're not on the right side of this, TikTok, I can only be here so long, right? Because I have put my family in danger. So I can only be here so long. I don't even want to be here. I mean, here I do, of course, here I do. But I've given a lot for you. I've given a lot for all of you strangers out there. Some of you who have just become completely visceral about hating me. When I am standing for your independence, when I am standing for your democracy, when that is simply what I'm preaching. And some of you have a real visceral hate, right? See, if I do that, then I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Here, hold on just a minute. Now, the important thing that I was saying here is you better take the effing humor I've got over here because it's the only thing that kept me surviving through all of this. What did I pray for? I said, I'll do it. I said, I'll do it. I'll do this, but you better keep me laughing. That's exactly what I said to my God. Hope he's yours. I said, I'll do it for you, but you better keep me laughing. And he did. And he did. And I think I even did say, you better keep me laughing. I didn't even say, please. Although I did say please sometimes too. I also know I said, you better keep me laughing. Right? So that's what I'm doing. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm teaching you and I'm keeping you laughing. Now, let me tell you something else. And this is just bleeding right into the spiritual classroom for sure. I'm going to tell you something else. I've mentioned a lot of names, and the most recent one was Joan Mudgett and her sister, Holly. That just saddens me. It just does. It just does, for a lot of reasons. But nobody could understand the relationships that were going on there, right? In that house anyway, or what was going on. But yeah. Oh, look. They were able to get some funds together to make sure that after Annette said it 5 times nobody's on the lake, that they got some people on the lake. Let's see who's on the lake. Oh, all of them stacked in one boat. Apparently, they couldn't really rent the other boats out, that they've been switching around all over the place. Oh, and they only have, it's really interesting because they only pay them for a certain amount of words, right? Because you get paid in acting for words. So their voices rise when they're by me, talking nonsense, whatever they're, oh, and then they go into nothing. See? Where's their voices? Nowhere. And they couldn't get on camera either, because that would have cost them, right? So you didn't see them in the background. You only heard them over there. That's what's going on. Welcome to Hollywood, Michigan style. TikTok. Oh, how many times am I supposed to say that? Tick-tock, MFers. You don't think that that was a message? You don't think that that was a message? TikTok to the U.S.? You don't think that was a message? TikTok, I'm taking away your kids, one way or another, for their sex industry, to be their soldiers, to take over their minds, to study in their research labs. What they're saying is, this is so clear to me. They're saying you haven't proved that there is real faith, that there's a God, that there's anyone left who believes. And then they found me. And then they found me. And then they said, yes, there is. And do you understand why I'm so still here? Do you understand why I'm so still here? Why? Because the powers that be need to prove that there is a woman of faith? Because the Almighty needed to demonstrate to you what faith really can do. And the thought of this is this clearly, oh geez, I hope I get mine like the way that I want to get mine. But the fact of the matter is you think that you got yours the way you got yours, and that was not him. Yeah, right up, straight up, Donna, Joan, and Holly, you're still looking. Yep. That wasn't even him, Donna. It wasn't him. Who was it? I have an idea. I think his name was Mike. Pretty sure his name was Mike. How about that? How about that? I don't know. What do we have? 3 people here that it's showing me? So I can do this. You show me 80 people up here, I won't do this. You show me 3 people. Oh, are you going to get a dose of truth? You want to know why? Because it just doesn't matter, does it? Because it just doesn't matter, right? What are you clipping out of there, Margaret? Right after an excellent one, stream stopped. Let's see. Oh, yellow, green. Stream back on. Let's see what we got going on over here. Just a way for them to sit over there and grab some video is my guess, and start manipulating video, because I've been turning off their access to the video. Not that that has any, bearing on anything, except for the fact that if they want to demonstrate, an association legally to videos, they have to demonstrate it legally, right? So they can only get things legally. Whatever. Just write the rules as you go along. Happy 4th of July. Just write the rules as you go along. What does it matter? What does it matter? I'll write the law. Okay, I'm a dentist now. 25 years and then 5 years over at Village Dental here in Milford. Yep. Let's learn a little bit about what we're talking about. All right? What the hell are you talking about, Dr. Feravich? I don't even know. My head hurts. Ugh. Okay, this is day 48. I'm sorry, I'm day 40. I'm using the old slides only because I want to get to. So, a couple things from these slides that we've already gone through. So, first of all, these qualities, right? So, we talked about the qualities. We had the list. I want you to have those in front of your mind, in the forefront of your mind. When we are talking about whether or not individuals, again, are in the here and now, are demonstrating real, mature, adaptive mental mechanisms, they are exhibiting these mindful qualities. Now, what's in it for you? What's in it for you? What's in it for you is this. These are both outcomes, desirable outcomes, and they are means by which we get those desirable outcomes. Instrumental and terminal values. They are desirable outcomes as well as mechanisms by which we get those outcomes. All right, let's look at that. Non-judging. Non-judging is a desirable outcome. I would like to be non-judging of other individuals. The mechanism by which I become non-judging is through non-judging. Do you understand? So here we've got, again, desirable outcomes as well as the mechanisms by which we get those desirable outcomes. So, in looking for individuals who are in the here and now, functioning at levels which we would call flourishing, thriving, above just existing. In fact, well above just existing. So we would take a look at these qualities and we would say, does that person have them? Right? Do they exhibit them? Do I have them? Do I exhibit them? And then in that way, we can begin to see, are we functioning at this flourishing, thriving level, right? At this level, well above simple existence. So I'm going to open that up again for you to see those qualities of mindfulness. And as you're looking at them, I want you to think about, do I have them? Do I get them? Do I have them, the desirable outcome of being non-judgmental? Do I have them and do I get them? Do I seek? Do I find ways to be non-judgmental? Or am I so far up somebody else's ass that the only thing I can do is judge the shit? Write that down! The hell, you guys are sitting over there behind your closed doors? Write some of this down. She's so aggressive. I don't get her. She's so aggressive. Look at those lines on her forehead. I wish she'd stop doing this. Now, I'm opening that up while I take my delicious drink of coffee and do a refill. I'm going to let you silently read through that list. You are thinking, do I have them and do I get them? Do I have it? Do I get it? Do I have it? Do I get it? In fact, I'm not going to be able to shut up, right? You know that already. Non-judging. Do I have it? Do I get it? Non-striving. Do I have it? Do I get it? Acceptance, do I have it? Do I get it? Patience, do I have it? Do I get it? Trust, do I have it? Do I get it? Openness, do I have it? Do I get it? Okay? I think this one could be a little smaller. Letting go, do I have it? Do I get it? Gentleness, do I have it? Do I get it? Generosity, do I have it? Do I get it? Empathy, do I have it? Do I get it? Gratitude, do I have it? Do I get it? Right? And if we see these characteristics in you, you cannot be empathetic and grateful and compassionate and gentle and at one time in the openness of these, the light of day, and the openness and the light of day be these things, and then in the dark shadows of the night be something else. You cannot be both. It is the same thing as you cannot get internal rewards along with external rewards because they're in competition with one another. You cannot be empathetic and then a deviant who goes and kills babies on a regular basis. You cannot be both. It just is impossible. Somebody might make you believe you could be both because it's self-interest, because they're getting you to be a soldier and not believe in common sense and not believe in cause and effect and not believe in rational thinking, right? They're trying to get you to believe that everything is chaos so that you follow one DJT, Emperor. Do you have these qualities and do you get them? Do you have them and do you get them? Write that down. I'm going to let you look at these now for a minute while I actually am going to refill my coffee. Take a minute. Take longer than a minute. Do you have them and do you get them? Back to the first page. Do you have them and do you get them? Yeah, so Kathy, who's Jimmy, Carrie, who's Holly, Joan, who's Donna, or Pastor Paul, and Lee, I already know. Who that you've been there, and is that Johnny Johnson? Don Nolte? Who's that? Who's Don Nolte, Lee? Hmm? Okay. So sometimes the here and now takes me to a place that I need to go right now. That's not ADHD. Somebody who's teaching you that's ADHD, what they do is they have a vested interest in getting you to think in a linear fashion. This and then linear is in a line, right? They have a vested interest. That is, they get something out of getting you to think in a linear way. Soldiers do. Soldiers do. Dun, 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 dun. Right? So teaching you that ADHD is bad and teaching or that your associations that you make are bad and then giving you drugs to not do it. What do you suppose that's for? So I challenge you to say, and then what are they doing? They're trying to convince you, oh, take the Ritalin anyway because it helps you lose weight. I'll give you any reason to keep you on ADHD medication. Why? Because I don't want you thinking off the beaten path, I don't want you thinking outside the lines like a soldier. I'm sorry. You really have got to think about that. All of you QAnon, patriots, right-wing fascists, you have got to think about this. And I will tell you, if the people who are organizing your thoughts behind DJT are part of my family, as I believe that they are, trust me, they have got science up the wazoo to train you to be the soldier, because they are non-believers. They are non-believers. Stuart's youngest brother, non-believer, completely non-believer, teaching people how to be soldiers. Give up your right to think outside the lines and let me give you drugs in order to make sure that you do it my way. Are you on Ritalin? If you're on Ritalin, you're being taught to be a soldier. If you're on Ritalin and you say, but I needed to lose weight or it keeps me alert, that's exactly what they want you to think. You're just thinking exactly what they want you and trained you to think. They trained you to think that that's how you think better. Good job, soldier. You think I'm here to hurt you? That's not my job. I'm a teacher. That's not what we do. I wouldn't be here to hurt you. I'm here to teach you. It's my job. You've seen it. You've seen it. You've seen the Red Sea being parted. Do you believe it? Or do you say, what else you got? Right? Okay, let's take a closer look at this. At the 4 branches. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a look. So I want to do this quickly. So quickly, I wish I would have started. Well, no, I don't wish I would have done anything differently. There are the branches that get us the desired results of mindful meditation. Okay? When we are, or mindfulness. Mindfulness is a behavior. Mindful meditation is a specific practice that people can go through to help improve their mindfulness. Okay? So mindful is a characteristic. Mindful meditation is one way to get that characteristic. What's the characteristic that we're looking for? Well, we're looking to be able to perceive other people's emotions. So hopefully you can see that pretty clearly and you're reading along with me. So that's branch number 1. Are you able to perceive other people's emotions, right? So that is picking them up. Can you see them? Do you look at their face? Do you see them on their face, right? So perceiving emotions, you can see the 4 things underneath that and read them yourself. If you are unable to read, I'm certain that you can figure it out from perception. But it's an ability to identify emotions in people's faces, basically, or in their behaviors, all right? Using emotions. using, do you not only identify, you could be a very stoic person, right? A stoic person, not ever showing emotions, but you sit back and you observe, and maybe you're very good at reading other people's emotions. Do you also use your emotions, right? Let's say that somebody is in dire straits. Let's say that somebody was they were suicidal. Let's say that somebody was suicidal. If you then came to that person and knew and understood mentally that they were suicidal, right? But didn't demonstrate it in your conversation that you got it, right? Didn't actually demonstrate the behaviors. You didn't actually use emotions. You would know it would be very unlikely to facilitate a new emotion, right? What do I want to do? I want to convince you not to commit suicide. I got to find Lucy. I'm sure she's in there. You've got to facilitate a new emotion that says, I don't want to die, right? You sitting there not using your own emotions to do that. Oh my gosh, what are you thinking? Not using your own emotions to convey that would not demonstrate emotional intelligence. It wouldn't show emotional intelligence, right? I need to use my emotions to facilitate an outcome that I want. The desired outcome is I don't want you to commit suicide in this instance, right? I can't just simply say the words. I can't simply perceive that those are your emotions, right? I would have to use my own emotions to facilitate your emotions changing position. Let me see where Lucy is for a sec. Hold on one second. I had to get up a new chart. There we go. Hold on one sec. Lucy. She's rolled up like a sausage in a croissant in the blanket. Okay. All right. Branch number 3, understanding. It's not simply that I use my emotions to facilitate, but I have to have the right understanding. Exactly. Are you suicidal? Are you faking it? Is this just are you crying wolf again? Is it for attention? Is it what's the trauma, right? So understanding how deep is the cut that person is feeling, right? And then the last one there is managing emotions. And I would like to take a minute to read those. Ability to be open to feelings both pleasant and unpleasant. This is how you manage your emotions. We have unpleasant experiences. We need to be able to deal with them. So we have to be open to the fact that we're going to experience some unpleasant feelings, right? Ability to monitor and reflect on emotions. Oh, there we go with the recording of the big bad dog over there all by himself, like in the desert or whatever, on a chain. I don't even know, with its tongue hanging out. I don't know. I can't see it. I can only hear it. Ability to engage, prolong, or detach from an emotional state. Think about that, managing your emotions. Being able to engage, prolong, or detach from an emotional state. I'm at the birthday party or the 4th of July fireworks. I want to engage with other people so I have a good time. I want to be engaged in wearing red, white, and blue and watching the fireworks and getting a beer or whatever, a glass of wine, and sitting in my lawn chair and just shooting the SHIT. I want to be engaged. I will manage my emotions so that I'm in the here and now enjoying every piece of our Independence Day, right? Okay. All right. So managing your emotions to engage, Prolong. These are engaging in things like savoring, for example. Savoring. Our fireworks were, what's today? Our fireworks were Saturday night. Our fireworks here on the lake were Saturday night. Only like 3 boats were out there. Again, I'm telling you. What are you waiting for? You think I'm going to be gone? I think I'm going to own all this. You taking money out of my accounts? PNC, both PNC and Fifth Third, you had people taking money out of my accounts to put me in this vulnerable position. I don't think it's going to work out for you. Yeah. Yeah, nobody in this neighborhood puts a dog on a chain and lets it bark like that. The only people who are doing that is somebody who's doing that for their own show. Nobody in this neighborhood, right? That's mafia. That's mafia style over there, or construction worker style, whatever. So prolong. Did you want to prolong the good time that you had? Savor it. Instead of ruminating about bad times, what do? To prolong an emotion, you savor. Think about the good times. Or detach. I've been doing a lot of detaching from my emotions, right? And sometimes it's not easy. Who doesn't want to detach from fear, for example? To take that emotion and get it out. Who doesn't want to detach from fear? Can you do it? Do you know how to do it? It's not easy. But I can manage my emotions to do it. Now that's a biggie. Right? Fear. When I feel the fear in the depths of my soul, like I have, right? Like that could almost bring me to a panic attack, right? Because there were a couple times, not a lot, but there were a couple times during the last year with all of this stress that I almost like could have gotten sucked in with the fear at the very beginning, when I was really afraid of what was going on, and it was very new and foreign to me. I'd never had anyone manipulate me the way that they were manipulating me ever. And all those people, so many people, with so much attention on my failure, right? I'm manipulating me into failure. All of administration at the university, people at Wayne State are involved in this as well, because they are at Oakland University. And people downtown, and sex offenders, and the police. So there's a lot of pressure and a lot of people who want to see me fail. Why would that be? I need to figure out, because there is no way in the world I could do these classes if I couldn't detach in some ways from that stress. Well, you're like, well, Dr. Feravich, I thought that you just said that you can't be a Jekyll and Hyde kind of a person. You cannot be. If you were filled with all the opposite of those mindfulness qualities that I showed you, there is no way you could demonstrate peace. We just know it. There's no way you could be fostering love. Why? Because your concepts are exactly the opposite. How could you 1 minute foster love when all you believed in was hate? You can't. How could you foster giving when all you believed in was taking? You couldn't. How could you foster a belief in something grander than you when all that you do is serve yourself and believe in yourself? You couldn't. You cannot be that Jekyll and Hyde without really some psychotic diagnosis, right? And even those people, you can look at any kind of psychotic along the line and say it just simply isn't a Jekyll and Hyde thing. Even Dahmer would be a perfect example of the person that may have been the most Jekyll and Hyde. I happen to only think that Dahmer is just an example that Netflix is trying to demonstrate that somebody could be a Jekyll and Hyde, and now they're trying to get their female version, Netflix, of their Jekyll and Hyde. It's not possible. There is something going on in Dahmer's past. There is no doubt. It is doubtless that there was something going on in his past with his parents and then with other things. And his parents' first thing, I don't even know. Bullshit, you know. bullshit, and so do other people, but there is clear money in making it look like nobody even can explain Dahmer. Bullshit. Yeah, they can. Yeah, they can. They don't want to. They don't want to. It's the narrative that they are trying to put out there. And right now, the narrative is don't trust women. And they're going to give you a reason why not to. Read between the lines. What is their self-interest in trying to disparage a woman who is putting out this kind of message of hope and vitalization of your mind, body, spirit? What would be their purpose in trying to shut that down, right? Now, let's get to what we were here for. And what we were here for was to look at our examples. So, oh, that's what I was supposed to do. Give me a sec. Oh my gosh, I could not find these. And I thought, in all of this mess, did I delete them? And that would have been a real bummer because I wanted to talk about these examples. So I put these 4 slides together to talk about these examples of good emotion regulation. So we have George Washington, I have Thomas Jefferson, I have Andrew Jackson, and I have Abraham Lincoln as the 4 examples of emotion regulation. And I'm going to leave this up there. I did not put, this isn't a history lesson about that person, right? So I'm not doing a history lesson about what George Washington did. What I wanted to do was talk about, in my Bookless classroom, I've been doing history, and so I've read a lot, I've been trying to present a lot, and I've learned a lot. And so in this idea, I wanted to tell you from my own mind and what I've learned about these historical founding fathers, what I see to be their functioning quality emotion regulation, right? So good emotion regulation, that's not what I wanted to say, right? Successful emotion regulation, examples of successful emotion regulation. And examples of unsuccessful emotion, maladaptive, adaptive emotion regulation, or maladaptive emotion regulation. So, talking about George Washington first, all right? I cannot get over the story of Valley Forge. I read it. So, it was Lexington and Concord, right? So, the first battle of, not the not the first battle. It wasn't the first battle, but the troops had gotten pushed back, and now they were going further and further west. So British forces, independence, right? We declared our independence. Oh, which, by the way, I need to read. I think I'm going to read that at the beginning of the spiritual classroom, or maybe the philosophical classroom, one of the two. So I will read our Declaration of Independence outside of the notes of whatever, it doesn't matter. So I'll be reading that on July 4th. I'll be reading our Declaration of Independence. I hope that you like that. I do. But if you remember, so British forces are coming into the colonies in order to get them to pay the taxes and follow their rules, right? They are a church state. They are run by England and run by the Protestant church. And I can't remember the saint's name, Saint whatever. And then in Scotland as well. All right. So they are completely run by the church. We wanted our independence from their church rules. Not that we weren't believers. We just didn't want to believe exactly the way that they said to believe. And then also paying all of this money, which goes to the church, basically, which goes to the church, right? No, we want a government, and you collect taxes. You don't collect money for the church, for what people believe in, right? Just real crooked ways that we still see, very crooked ways that we see going on right now, for sure, without a doubt. So Washington is trying to stop the movement of our troops retreating and the British troops on the offensive, right? Aggressing towards us. He's trying to stop this. And so there's the winter at Valley Forge. There's the winter at Valley Forge. I read about it in one of our classrooms. It may have been close to, I don't know. It was early on, for sure. It was early on, like 15, but earlier than that, I'm sure. And that story there demonstrates, so in particular, when he goes and he gets retreating troops. Now, this has to be true. If you're fighting what would seem to be or feel to be a losing battle, well, I might be afraid that I'm going to lose my life. And I might decide that when it comes right down to it, we're going to lose this war anyway, I'm out, right? I might decide that. And as a troop, we all might decide that. So I might have a troop that the whole entire troop decides we are going to get out of here. We're out. You have had to have that. So no matter what, there has to be that story, in my opinion, right? And what did he do? He became the man he was supposed to be, right? He became the man he was supposed to be. He became a leader for the troops. He was tenacious in his thinking, in his battle, to keep this country together as a union. The time has come. The time has come. Do you want to be united? And if you think that we're not going to be united under all of the rules that serve all of the people, and instead you will be divided with rules that serve yourself, how long do you think that that's going to work for you? It can't work. Nobody wants to serve you. Nobody wants to serve me. But I'll serve both you and me as long as we can agree on a way to serve ourselves. That's the future of this country, right? And it may be the future of the world. I don't know. Somebody said the other day, maybe we don't need a United States of America. Maybe we need a united world to save this planet, and whatever Google Earth has been doing to now conspire against us being able to see that, right? Records, I see a pattern of records. I see a pattern of records. I see a pattern of records. That's what I saw in Google Earth. I saw a pattern of records over the Middle East. I don't know. I don't know. And now what is being hidden from us? I don't know. I don't know. How would I know? But I wouldn't spend my life trying to figure it out. I was sure as hell wouldn't spend over 50 years trying to figure it out, Joan Mudgett. Sure as hell wouldn't. For a man you're never going to get. Do you not know? Do you not know he has real fortitude and you don't? Real fortitude. What does fortitude mean? There we go. That's the word of the day. That's the word of the day. Real fortitude. Did you regulate yourself to have a backbone and stand up for what is right and have the courage? I'll tell you something else. You want a little spiritual jolt about things? That's what I prayed for from the Holy Spirit when I made my confirmation back in Catholic high school. What did I pray for? Fortitude. Oh, girlfriend, you got a boatload of it. A boatload of fortitude. Backbone. Pray for it. Pray for some backbone. Pray for some fortitude. Terry Broner. Pray for some fortitude. I get it. I get it. Is that your brother that's in trouble? Is that your brother that you were going to be with? I get it. I do. And you've got to get his roving eye, because he was not meant to be with his sister. We were meant to nurture, and it might be our brother. But he was not made to be nurtured by his sister. I don't know. Lots of stuff going on. George Washington regulated himself in a way that was altruistic, in the interest of others. In the interest of others, right? In the interest of all people. Thomas Jefferson, I think, is interesting to think about his regulation of his emotions. He was not successful in regulating his emotions simply because he couldn't get over some of the traumas. He was depressed, and he also couldn't get over the trauma of losing his wife. So he also was filled with, it seems, hypocrisy or something. I can't explain. I cannot explain his 600 slaves. I can't explain it. And I can't explain, although somebody probably could. And if I read a biography on him, maybe there's an explanation there. So doing a deep dive, I don't believe it could be his hypocrisy that led him to depression about slaves. He owned 600 slaves, more than any other president. But maybe he owned these slaves because, as I've said, he really did take care of them. He did not die a rich man as Andrew Jackson did, who didn't care anything about slaves, right? Who also had the second largest number of slaves next to Thomas Jefferson. Both men having very different ideologies in how they wanted to run this country. So, Thomas Jefferson, did he perceive, did he use emotions? Probably, definitely used emotions. I mean, he helped write the Declaration of Independence, write our Constitution. So he definitely used his emotions to further his desire for democracy, right? He was probably good at perceiving emotions, understanding, using his own emotions, and then managing his emotions. It's tougher to say, right? It would be tougher to say because he was depressed. So you can't be managing your emotions and also couldn't get over the trauma of losing his wife, right? Which we have to go on, right? We have to go on. It doesn't mean you don't feel the loss, as I said earlier. It doesn't mean you don't feel the loss. It just means that you still have to go on and deal with it. Let's look at our third example here. Our third example is Andrew Jackson. Now, Andrew Jackson was very tenacious, right? He was a go-getter and knew what he wanted. But in my opinion, Andrew Jackson always worked from a defensive position. He was always defensive about what he did. What do we know about Andrew Jackson? Andrew Jackson destroyed, in his own way 3 races: the American Indians through the Trail of Tears, the blacks through the avid support of slavery, and also, well, there was the Indian Removal Act, and then there was the Fugitive Slave Act. So those things are responsible for keeping blacks and American Indians in their position. And the last one was what? American Indians, slaves, and Mexicans. There we go. Duh. The Alamo. So it didn't come through for the Mexican Americans fighting to be part for democracy in the same way that Andrew Jackson said he was fighting for democracy, but only for the few. So in his defensive stance, constantly demonstrating a defensive and aggressive attacking stance. Oh, look, there's a boat. Let's see who's on the boat. Oh, one person. Couldn't afford the whole boat of people. I bet he's got no lines. Anywho, so taking this defensive position and an aggressive position demonstrates poor emotion regulation. He was always on full tilt, right? So an experience of a single emotion is what we see with Andrew Jackson. Aggression, right? Pride, dominance is what we see here. So even in dueling, right? What did he do? He was in several shooting duels, right? With people who disparaged his wife's reputation. Well, his wife was married, a polygamist. So you might say that and say, okay, she, whatever, I still love her. But to get in a fighting duel over it, not good example of emotion regulation. And then the last one, Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln had a lot of real pressures from both sides in his ability to be able to free the slaves at a time that was so contentious, that had so many conflicts, that had so many attitudes that were fighting one another for what? Power and money, right? And to be able to come out with a resolution that allowed this country to survive to this date shows extraordinary emotion regulation. I've got to go. I'll be back here at probably, I think 1:30 is what I'm going to do, or maybe 1:15. Maybe 1:15. I'll give myself an hour break is what I'm going to do. And I'll be back here with the spiritual classroom, although we've had a spiritual day, haven't we? Why wouldn't we? We declared independence today, and I didn't even figure out, somebody tell me. 1876, 1976, 77, no, 86, 96, 2006, 2016, so that's 247 years. Dr. Annette Feravich, we're here in the classroom figuring out how we can best honor this wonderful day, our Independence Day here in the United States of America, July 4th, 2023. I'm the teacher. This is the Critical Thinking